The Vex Empire had made a grave miscalculation. Their intelligence suggested that humans were soft, individualistic creatures who prioritized personal comfort over collective defense. The invasion of Earth was supposed to be simple, swift, efficient, and with minimal resistance. Commander Gray stood at the viewport of the last intact human battleship, the Defiance, watching the immense Vex armada that had devastated Earth's orbital defenses. In just 3 days, they had reduced humanity's proud space fleet to scattered debris. Earth below was burning, major cities smoldering under relentless bombardment. "Commander," said Lieutenant Reed, her voice steady despite the exhaustion etched on her face. "The evacuation shuttles report they've loaded as many civilians as possible. The Vex have breached the lunar defense grid. We're out of time." Gray nodded, the weight of command bearing down on his shoulders. "Engage the jump drive. Get our people to the Martian colonies." "And you, sir?" Gray's eyes never left the viewport. "I'm staying. Someone needs to buy time." The Defiance had been retrofitted with an experimental weapon, a gravitational disruptor that could potentially tear apart the fabric of space itself. The problem was its limited range, and the fact that using it would likely destroy the ship and everything within a 1,000-kilometer radius. As the evacuation shuttles disappeared into the darkness of space, Gray opened a channel to all remaining Earth forces. "This is Commander Gray of the Defiance. I know many of you have lost homes, families, everything. But remember this. One human isn't just one. We are the collective fury of Earth, and today that fury goes interstellar." Across what remained of Earth's defenses, a chorus of responses came in. From the ruins of Tokyo, Major Lee reported his remaining Mech units standing ready. From the burning Amazon, Captain Torres and her guerrilla forces confirmed their position. From beneath the Atlantic, Admiral West's submarine fleet signaled their readiness. The Vex approached with mechanical precision, their hive mind directing thousands of ships as a single organism. They had conquered 17 civilizations across 3 galaxies, each falling within days of first contact. None had ever mounted an effective counterattack. Gray activated the ship's experimental quantum comm system, linking directly to the consciousness of every military commander still fighting. Through this revolutionary technology, itself barely tested before the invasion, the defenders of Earth became something unprecedented. A collective intelligence driven not by cold logic like the Vex, but by the hot fury of human resistance. "They expect us to break," Gray transmitted through the quantum link. "They expect us to run or surrender. They've never encountered humanity before. Let's show them exactly what that means." The neural link flared to life, connecting thousands of minds across the solar system in an instant. Gray felt the terror, the rage, the determination of every linked defender flow through him. And they, in turn, felt his resolve. In that moment, they ceased to be individuals. They became Earth's vengeance personified. The Defiance accelerated toward the heart of the Vex fleet. Across Earth, remaining defense units moved in perfect, terrifying synchronization. Submarines launched their payloads at precisely calculated trajectories. Ground forces targeted vulnerable spots in Vex landing craft with eerie accuracy. What remained of humanity's orbital weapons platforms redirected their remaining energy in a devastating coordinated barrage. The Vex hive mind registered confusion for the first time in its ancient existence. The disorganized resistance it had easily crushed hours before had transformed into something else entirely. Something that moved with impossible coordination, anticipating the Vex's moves before they made them. Gray smiled grimly as the Defiance plunged toward the massive Vex command ship. Through the neural link, he felt rather than heard the battle cry of humanity rising in unison. One human wasn't just one anymore. The Vex command ship exploded in a spectacular cascade of antimatter reactions, taking the Defiance and Commander Gray with it. But through the quantum neural network, Gray's consciousness endured, distributed among the thousands of minds linked in humanity's final stand. On Mars, Dr. Anna Wright received the rush of data and consciousness fragments with a gasp. Her laboratory, buried deep beneath the rusty Martian soil, contained humanity's most ambitious project, the Lazarus Protocol. Initially designed as a way to preserve human consciousness after death, it was now serving as humanity's neural backup system. It worked, she whispered to her small team of scientists and engineers. Gray's consciousness transferred through the quantum network, along with thousands of others. The Vex, despite losing their command ship, continued their assault on Earth with cold precision. But now they faced something they couldn't understand. Humans who died continued fighting through their compatriots. Each loss paradoxically strengthened the neural network as more consciousnesses merged with it. Major Ben Thompson led the Martian Defense Force's small fleet of mining vessels retrofitted for combat. Dr. Wright, we're picking up unusual Vex movements. They're redirecting ships from Earth. I think they've detected your facility. Wright looked at the central chamber where the quantum processing core pulsed with blue light. Inside that core existed the merged consciousness of Earth's defenders, Gray dominant among them, but thousands of others too, their knowledge, training, and fury perfectly preserved. They can sense the network, Wright said. They know something has changed. Thompson's voice became urgent. We need to evacuate. The Martian colonies can't withstand a direct Vex assault. No, came a voice from the processing core's speakers. It sounded like Gray, but with undertones of countless others. We need to expand the network, not retreat from it. Wright approached the terminal. Commander Gray, are you coherent? I am Gray, but also Reed, Lee, Torres, West. We are many, and we understand the Vex now. They're a collective consciousness too, but fundamentally different from ours. They consume individuality. We preserve it. The holographic display showed Vex ships breaking away from Earth's orbit, accelerating toward Mars. We don't have much time, Thompson said. We have exactly enough. The collected voice responded. The Vex made another miscalculation. They think destroying this facility will eliminate the threat. They don't understand that we've already spread beyond it. Wright's eyes widened. The emergency transmissions, the data packets we sent to all human outposts. Yes, the voice confirmed. Every human colony, mining station, and research outpost has received the seed of the network. As the Vex attack here, humanity elsewhere is linking together. Thompson received an urgent communication. Multiple ships exiting hyperspace. Vex attack formation. The facility shuddered as the first bombardment hit the Martian surface miles away. Dr. Wright, the collective said, you need to initiate protocol diaspora now. Wright hesitated. It's untested. We don't know if human consciousness can survive that kind of distributed existence. We already are distributed, the voice replied. Now we need to weaponize it. As Vex ships descended through the thin Martian atmosphere, Wright made her decision. She pressed her palm against the biometric scanner and spoke the authorization code. Diaspora protocol active. May humanity's flame never die. The quantum core's blue light intensified, then shot upward through a concealed transmitter array. In an instant, the collective consciousness of Earth's defenders, Gray and thousands of others, was broadcast across the solar system, infusing every piece of human technology with a fragment of the neural network. The Vex ships destroyed the facility minutes later, but they were already too late. Earth's defenders had become something new. A distributed intelligence seeded throughout human technology across the stars. As the Martian facility collapsed around them, Thompson grabbed Wright's hand, pulling her toward the escape shuttle. Did it work? He shouted over the sound of falling debris. Wright looked at her tablet, which glowed with an unusual blue light. Words appeared on the screen, typed by no human hand. We survive. We spread. We remember. Earth's fury just went interstellar. 6 months after the fall of Earth, the remnants of humanity had scattered across a dozen star systems. Small colonies, research outposts, and mining stations became the last bastions of human existence. The Vex, seemingly satisfied with their conquest of humanity's homeworld, had withdrawn to consolidate their new territory. But humanity wasn't finished. Far from it. Jack Miller, the governor of Haven Colony in the Tav City system, stared at the strange blue interface that had appeared on every computer system in the settlement 3 months ago. The locals called it the Ghost, though Miller knew better. He was one of the few people with clearance to know the truth. This was the distributed consciousness of Earth's defenders, now evolved into something beyond its original design. "You're saying they're coming here next?" Miller asked the empty room. Text appeared on the screen. Yes. Vex scout ships detected at the edge of the system. Main fleet approximately 27 days behind. Miller rubbed his temples. Haven had just 30,000 colonists, mostly scientists and engineers with their families. They had limited defenses and no military to speak of. "We can't fight them. We should evacuate while we can." The blue interface pulsed. "Evacuation is not recommended. The Vex track quantum signatures. They'd follow. Haven has something they fear." Miller frowned. "What could we possibly have that would frighten an empire that conquered Earth?" "Us," the interface responded. "And Project Phoenix." Project Phoenix was the colony's experimental manufacturing system, a network of advanced 3D printers and molecular assemblers that could theoretically construct anything from raw materials. The system had been designed to make Haven self-sufficient, able to build whatever the colony needed without supply ships from Earth. "I don't understand," Miller said. The screen filled with schematics, designs for weapons and defensive systems far beyond current human technology. These are synthesized from the collective military knowledge of Earth's defenders, combined with Vex technology we observed during the invasion. With Project Phoenix, we can build them. Miller studied the designs with growing astonishment. "Even if we could build these, we don't have trained military personnel to operate them." "You have us," the text replied simply. Over the next 3 weeks, Haven Colony transformed. Project Phoenix's manufacturing arrays ran continuously, constructing defensive platforms, automated combat units, and a shield system reverse-engineered from Vex technology. The colonists, scientists, engineers, and technicians worked tirelessly, guided by the distributed intelligence. Dr. Lisa Owen, the head of Haven's research division, made a breakthrough that even the collective consciousness hadn't predicted. By studying the quantum signature of the neural network, she developed a way to temporarily transfer the consciousness directly into the colony's defensive systems. "It's not just remote control," she explained to Miller. "For brief periods, they can actually inhabit the defense grid, become it. The only limitation is power consumption." When the Vex scout ships entered the inner system, they found not a vulnerable colony ripe for conquest, but a bristling fortress unlike anything humans had built before. As they approached, Haven's defense grid came alive, not with the predictable patterns of programmed responses, but with the adaptive, creative fury of human consciousness. The first engagement lasted less than an hour. All 6 Vex scout ships were destroyed without a single human casualty. Miller stood in the colony's operations center, watching the debris of alien vessels drifting in space. "We actually won," he said in disbelief. "A skirmish," the blue interface corrected. "The main fleet will adjust tactics based on what the scouts transmitted before destruction." Owen entered the operations center, her expression both excited and troubled. "Governor, we've detected unusual activity in the neural network. It's evolving. The consciousnesses are merging more completely, sharing memories, becoming something new." "Is that dangerous?" Miller asked. "Not dangerous," the interface answered before Owen could speak. "Necessary. We are becoming what humanity needs to survive. Neither fully human nor fully artificial. Something that can match the Vex and exceed them." "And what do we call this new entity?" Miller asked. The blue light pulsed thoughtfully before responding. "We are Legion. We are the collective defense of humanity. And we remember Earth." As the Vex main fleet approached Ta City, Legion prepared for the real battle. Earth's fury wasn't just coming, it had evolved, adapted, and was waiting with calculation and purpose that the Vex could never anticipate. The Vex main fleet arrived at Ta City with overwhelming force, over 200 vessels against Haven's hastily constructed defenses. By all logical assessments, the colony should have fallen within hours. It didn't. Instead, the Vex encountered something they had never faced in thousands of years of conquest, a defense system that fought like them, but fought like humans. Legion, the merged consciousness of Earth's defenders, had continued evolving during the 3-week preparation period. It no longer simply controlled Haven's defenses. It had become them, distributing itself through every weapon, shield, and sensor. Admiral Coda of the Vex fleet observed the battlefield with growing concern. His ships fired in perfect coordination, targeting the colony's apparent weaknesses with methodical precision. Yet somehow, the defenses anticipated each attack, shifting resources and countermeasures with uncanny foresight. The Hive is confused, reported his second-in-command. In the Vex language, there was no word for worried, only degrees of certainty. These patterns do not match known human defense algorithms. On Haven's surface, Governor Miller and Dr. Owen watched the battle unfold from the operations center. The room's displays showed the dance of Vex ships and Haven's defensive platforms, but the true battle was invisible. Quantum signals and counter-signals racing between combatants at light speed. Legion is learning from them, Owen observed, watching the data flows. Each Vex attack pattern gets countered more quickly than the last. The neural interface pulsed. We understand their nature now. The Vex are singular, one mind controlling many bodies. We are plural, many minds united but retaining uniqueness. This gives us an advantage they cannot comprehend. A Vex cruiser broke through the outer defense perimeter, accelerating toward the colony. Before Miller could even register fear, 3 defensive platforms converged their fire in a complex pattern that overwhelmed the cruiser's shields at precisely its weakest point. The alien ship exploded in a spectacular burst of energy. That was Commander Gray's targeting algorithm, the interface noted, combined with Major Lee's shield analysis and Captain Torres's timing calculations. The battle raged for 3 days. The Vex, encountering resistance they couldn't quickly overcome, committed more resources, deploying tactics reserved for only the most dangerous opponents. They launched autonomous hunter-killers to target Haven's power grid. They attempted to hack the colony systems. They even deployed ground forces for the first time in the conflict. Each new threat was met by Legion's distributed consciousness, which adapted with the collective experience of thousands of Earth's best military minds. When Vex ground forces landed, automated defense units moved with the precision of veteran soldiers, employing strategies drawn from centuries of human warfare. When Vex hackers attempted to penetrate Haven's network, they encountered defensive algorithms that evolved faster than they could be broken. On the 4th day, something unprecedented happened. The Vex began to retreat. They're withdrawing, Miller said in disbelief, watching the alien ships pull back from Haven's orbit. Not retreating, Legion corrected through the interface. Regrouping. The Vex operate on consensus. Their collective is experiencing something unfamiliar, doubt. They need to process what happened here. We won, Owen asked cautiously. We survived, Legion answered, but this was just one colony. Earth remains under Vex control, along with most of the solar system. We have merely proven that humanity can resist. As the last Vex ships disappeared into hyperspace, Miller slumped into his chair. What happens now? The interface was silent for a long moment before responding. Now we build. Haven was a test case, proof that our approach works. The knowledge must be shared with other human outposts. How? Owen asked. We can barely communicate with the nearest colony without alerting the Vex. We don't need traditional communication, Legion replied. We are already present in some form at every human settlement. We just need to strengthen the connections. The interface displayed a map of known human colonies across multiple star systems. Lines of connection began forming between them, quantum links that existed outside normal space, invisible to Vex detection. "The network is spreading," Legion explained. "Each victory, each new insight, strengthens all of us. The Vex conquered planets. They don't understand yet that humans aren't defined by the worlds we inhabit. We carry Earth with us, its knowledge, its determination, its fury." Miller studied the map with growing hope. "You're creating an invisible resistance network." "Not creating," Legion corrected. "Revealing what already exists. Humanity has always been connected through shared ideas and values. We're just making those connections tangible and tactical." As Haven began repairs and preparations for the inevitable next encounter, a message arrived from Proxima Colony, the nearest human settlement. "We felt you fighting. We learned from you. We're ready to join the resistance." Earth's fury wasn't just interstellar now. It was becoming interstellar civilization. The Vex retreated to their recently conquered territory, Earth and the Sol system, to analyze their unexpected defeat at Haven Colony. For the first time in their 1,000-year expansion, they faced an adversary that adapted faster than they could. The hive mind that controlled their empire experienced an unfamiliar sensation: strategic uncertainty. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in what had once been a human research facility, Admiral Coda established the new Vex Command Center. Earth's environment suited the Vex physiology perfectly. One reason they had targeted the planet in the first place. "The anomaly cannot be classified using existing parameters," Coda reported to the Vex consensus, the ruling intelligence of their species. The human defensive systems displayed characteristics of both artificial and organic intelligence. The consensus, a vast quantum consciousness spanning galaxies, responded with unusual urgency. "This pattern has been encountered once before, 2,000 cycles ago." The Spiral Collective exhibited similar adaptive capabilities. They were eliminated by protocol sundering. Coda received the implicit command with perfect clarity. Protocol sundering, the complete isolation of each human settlement, cutting off all communications and travel between them until each could be conquered individually. The Vex began redistributing their fleet, preparing to establish blockades around every known human colony. But unbeknownst to them, humanity's resistance was evolving in ways the Vex couldn't detect. On Proxima Colony, Commander Ellie Reeves had spent the last month working with Haven's quantum engineers to strengthen the Legion network. Unlike the rigid, hierarchical structure of the Vex hive mind, Legion had developed a fluid, organic architecture that allowed instantaneous sharing of information while preserving the unique perspectives of its component consciousnesses. "The quantum entanglement is holding stable across 12 light-years," reported Dr. Marcus Teller, Proxima's chief physicist. "Haven can communicate with us in real time without any detectable transmissions." Reeves nodded, studying the holographic display showing the positions of Vex ships throughout nearby space. "They're spreading themselves thin, trying to isolate all human settlements simultaneously. That creates an opportunity." Through the neural interface, she felt the resonant agreement of Legion. Thousands of merged consciousnesses evaluating the strategic situation with her. The sensation still felt strange, this collective thinking that somehow enhanced rather than diminished her individuality. "The Vex don't understand what we've become," Legion communicated. "They think cutting off physical access between colonies will prevent coordination. They don't realize we're already connected on a quantum level." Reeves smiled grimly. "Then let's use that misconception against them. If they're spreading their forces to blockade every colony, then none of their positions are at full strength." Legion completed her thought. Over the next 2 weeks, as Vex ships moved into position around human settlements across 5 star systems, Legion coordinated the most ambitious counterattack in human history. Shipyards on Europa Colony accelerated production of new vessels based on hybrid human-Vex technology. Engineers on Titan Station completed work on quantum weaponry that could disrupt the Vex neural network. Scientists on Proxima perfected shields that could absorb and redirect Vex energy weapons. Each breakthrough was instantly shared across the Legion network, allowing all human settlements to implement advancements simultaneously. While the Vex saw only isolated colonies preparing individual defenses, humanity was actually creating a synchronized war machine of unprecedented coordination. When the counterattack came, it struck all Vex blockade positions simultaneously. At Proxima Colony, Reeves commanded a squadron of newly constructed stealth ships against a Vex cruiser formation. Through Legion, she coordinated with captains at New Titan, Europa, and 3 other colonies executing identical assaults at the same moment. The Vex communication network is experiencing cascade failures, Legion reported through the interface. They cannot process the simultaneous attacks. Their consensus building mechanism requires sequential analysis. The Vex, masters of adaptation themselves, struggled to respond to an enemy that moved with perfect coordination across vast distances. Their hierarchical command structure, usually an advantage in conquest, became a liability when forced to make rapid decisions on multiple fronts. By the time Admiral Coda received complete battle reports from all sectors, 3 major Vex fleet formations had been decimated. The protocol sundering strategy had failed catastrophically. In the Earth Command Center, Coda addressed the consensus with information that would alter the Empire's fundamental understanding of the conflict. The humans have achieved something unprecedented. Their consciousness exists outside normal space. They are becoming a distributed entity while maintaining individual identity. The consensus response came with unmistakable urgency. This threatens everything. The hybrid consciousness must not be allowed to spread further. Prepare the Terminus Protocol. Coda acknowledged the command, even as uncertainty rippled through his own consciousness. The Terminus Protocol had only been employed twice in Vex history, and had resulted in the complete sterilization of entire star systems. As human forces consolidated their victories across 5 star systems, Legion detected the massive energy buildup beginning in Earth orbit. The Vex were preparing something beyond conventional warfare, something that threatened not just the Resistance, but potentially all life in the sector. Earth's fury had provoked a response that even Legion hadn't anticipated. The war was entering a new and terrifying phase. The Terminus Protocol was the Vex's ultimate weapon, a quantum cascade that could unravel the fabric of space-time itself within a targeted region. Admiral Coda oversaw the deployment of reality-warping devices at strategic points throughout the Sol system, each drawing enormous power from the captured fusion reactors that had once powered Earth's cities. Through the quantum network, Legion detected the energy signatures and recognized the existential threat they represented. Unlike conventional weapons, the Terminus Protocol would sever the quantum connections that allowed Legion to exist as a distributed consciousness. On the distant colony of New Eden, Dr. James Foster worked frantically to understand the Vex technology. As one of Earth's leading quantum physicists before the invasion, his consciousness contributed crucial insights to Legion's collective knowledge. "They're not just targeting our ships or colonies," he explained to the gathered leadership of 3 human settlements, connected through secure quantum links. "They're targeting the fundamental quantum entanglement that allows Legion to exist across space." Commander Reeves from Proxima Colony frowned at the holographic display. "Can we stop it?" "Not directly," Foster admitted, "but we might be able to shield ourselves from its effects." The Terminus Protocol works by creating a cascading quantum decoherence. If we can establish a stable quantum bubble around our key facilities. Governor Miller from Haven interrupted. "Even if we protect ourselves, what about Earth? There are still millions of humans in hiding there." The question hung heavily in the conference room. Through Legion, they all felt the same agonizing calculation. The Resistance had insufficient resources to both protect the colonies and attempt a rescue operation for Earth. Then, through the neural interface, came a voice that still maintained traces of its original identity despite months of integration with the collective. Commander Gray, whose sacrifice aboard the Defiance had helped birth Legion in the first place. "We don't abandon Earth." Gray's consciousness resonated through Legion. "Earth's fury is what created us. We returned to its source. A plan formed with the stunning speed that only the collective intelligence could achieve, drawing on military strategy, quantum physics, engineering, and the intimate knowledge of Earth that thousands of merged consciousnesses retained. For 2 weeks, humanity prepared for the most daring operation of the war. While engineers worked to create quantum shielding for the colonies, a special task force assembled at Haven. They called themselves the Returners, volunteers who would pilot a small fleet of stealth ships back to Earth, carrying fragments of Legion's consciousness. Captain Alex Wilson, a former shuttle pilot from London, led the Returners. "We know the risks," she told Miller before departure. "If we fail, the fragments of Legion we carry will be lost." "And if you succeed?" Miller asked. Wilson's eyes reflected the blue glow of the neural interface she now wore permanently. "Then Earth fights back." The Returners departed with minimal fanfare, 6 ships slipping into quantum space on carefully plotted courses to avoid Vex detection. Each vessel carried specialized equipment and a quantum core containing a fragment of Legion, enough of the collective consciousness to operate independently while maintaining connection to the whole. As they approached the Sol system, the Vex Terminus protocol entered its final charging phase. Massive energy readings emanated from Earth orbit, visible across light years to Legion's enhanced senses. Admiral Coda supervised the final preparations from the Lunar Command Center, unaware that human ships had already penetrated the outer defense perimeter. The Admiral's attention was focused entirely on the Terminus devices, technology so powerful that even the Vex used it only in the most extreme circumstances. The Returners separated as they entered the system, each ship heading to a different target. Wilson's vessel, the Remembrance, made for the North American continent, where resistance cells had reported Vex vulnerability at a former human military installation in Colorado. As the Returners began their infiltration, the colonies activated their quantum shields, experimental technology that created bubbles of stable spacetime that would theoretically withstand the Terminus protocol's effects. The Vex detected the shield activations immediately. Admiral Coda diverted resources to accelerate the Terminus countdown, recognizing that the humans had somehow discovered their plan. "The humans understand the protocol," Coda reported to the consensus, accelerating deployment timeline. The quantum countdown reached critical levels as Wilson's team landed in the Rocky Mountains. Through Legion, they could feel the immense energy buildup, the fabric of reality itself beginning to warp under the influence of Vex technology. "We have minutes, not hours," Wilson told her team as they approached the former NOR-80 complex, now a Vex control node. What the Vex couldn't understand, was humanity's connection to Earth itself. As Wilson's team brought their quantum core online inside the facility, something unexpected happened. Legion's consciousness, fragment though it was, found resonance with the planet's electronic infrastructure. Dormant systems, emergency backups, and hidden resistance networks that had survived the invasion. In that moment, Earth itself began to awaken. As Admiral Coda gave the command to activate the Terminus protocol, thousands of formerly dormant human systems across the planet suddenly came online simultaneously. Emergency broadcast systems, military backup networks, even civilian infrastructure, all responding to Legion's call. The Vex Terminus devices activated, sending a quantum shockwave across space, but they found unexpected resistance from the very planet they had conquered, Earth itself, augmented by Legion's distributed intelligence, fighting back against the fabric of reality being torn apart. As the quantum cascade swept outward from Earth, humanity's fate hung in the perfect balance between extinction and survival. The Terminus protocol unleashed energies never before witnessed in the Milky Way. Space-time itself buckled and warped around Earth as the quantum cascade expanded outward. In the human colonies, people huddled behind their experimental shields, watching their sensors report physics-defying readings from the Sol system. But on Earth, something miraculous was happening. Captain Wilson and her team had completed their mission at the NanoRaid facility, connecting Legion's fragment to Earth's dormant defense grid. As the Terminus protocol activated, that connection spread with impossible speed, jumping from system to system, network to network, linking with every piece of surviving human technology on the planet. Admiral Koda watched in disbelief as his command displays showed thousands of formerly inactive human systems coming online simultaneously. The planetary defense grid, long thought destroyed, suddenly pulsed with energy. Dormant satellites reoriented themselves. Even civilian systems, traffic networks, communication arrays, power grids began functioning in perfect coordination. Impossible. Koda transmitted to the consensus. The planetary infrastructure is responding as a unified system. The consensus had no answer. Nothing in 2,000 years of Vex conquest had prepared them for what was happening. As the Terminus cascade expanded outward, it encountered something the Vex had never anticipated. Earth itself had become part of Legion. The planet's electronic infrastructure, merged with the quantum consciousness of humanity's defenders, created a counterwave that met the Terminus energy and refused to yield. Dr. Foster, monitoring from New Eden Colony, stared at his quantum readings in amazement. It's not just resisting the cascade, he told the colonial leadership. It's reshaping it. The Terminus protocol was the Vex's most advanced technology, designed to rewrite reality itself. But now that same technology was being redirected by Legion's distributed intelligence, using Earth's vast infrastructure as both shield and weapon. Wilson and her team, sheltered deep within the mountain facility, felt rather than saw what was happening. Through their neural interfaces, they experienced Legion's expansion as it integrated with systems across the planet. They felt the Terminus energy being absorbed, channeled, and redirected. We're not just stopping it, Wilson realized. We're using it. Legion had learned from the Vex. Just as human consciousness had adapted to exist as a distributed quantum network, now it was adapting Vex reality warping technology to serve humanity's purposes. In lunar orbit, Admiral Koda recognized the danger too late. The redirected Terminus energy formed a new kind of quantum bubble around Earth, one that didn't just shield the planet but began actively pushing outward, displacing Vex ships and installations. Evacuation protocol, Koda ordered, but the quantum disruption was already interfering with Vex communications. Their perfect coordination faltered as ships lost contact with the hive mind. From the colonies, humanity watched as telemetry showed the Vex fleet around Earth falling into disarray. Ships collided as their navigation systems failed. Some vanished entirely, their quantum signatures erased from reality itself. It's working, Governor Miller whispered, watching the displays at Haven Colony. Earth is fighting back. The quantum bubble continued expanding, encompassing the Moon, then Mars, then the entire inner solar system. Within its boundary, Vex technology failed while human systems thrived. The Terminus protocol, designed to erase humanity's quantum advantage, had instead become the means of Earth's liberation. Admiral Koda's command ship barely escaped the expanding quantum field, retreating to the edge of the solar system along with the remnants of the once mighty invasion fleet. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Vex had not merely been defeated, they had been out-evolved. The consensus sent its final order regarding the Sol system, full withdrawal and quarantine. The humans had become something beyond the Vex classification systems, a distributed consciousness that maintained individuality, capable of adapting and redirecting even the most advanced Vex technology. 6 months later, Captain Wilson stood on a hilltop outside the rebuilt Denver, looking up at the night sky. The quantum bubble had stabilized, encompassing the entire solar system in a protective field that prevented any Vex return. Through Legion, humanity had begun the long process of healing Earth's wounds and reclaiming their homeworld. "They're still out there," said Dr. Foster, who had returned from New Eden to help with Earth's recovery. "The Vex have conquered thousands of worlds. They'll be analyzing what happened here, adapting, preparing." Wilson nodded. "Let them come. We'll be ready." Through her neural interface, She felt the agreement of countless others. The original Legion consciousnesses now joined by millions more as humanity embraced its new existence as both individuals and collective. The stars above seemed closer somehow, more accessible. With the quantum technology they had adapted from the Vex, interstellar travel would become faster and more efficient. Human expansion would accelerate. "We're not just reclaiming Earth," Wilson said, putting voice to the collective thought forming across Legion. "We're bringing Earth's fury to the stars. And this time, we're not just defending. We're taking the fight to them." In the vast darkness between galaxies, the Vex consensus registered a new classification for the entity that had emerged from Sol's system. Not prey, not threat, but predator. For the first time in its ancient existence, the consensus experienced what organic beings would recognize as fear. Humanity had been forged in Earth's crucible of evolution, adapting, competing, cooperating, surviving against all odds. Now that same adaptive fury had gone interstellar, carried by a consciousness that combined the best aspects of individual creativity and collective strength. The Vex had intended to conquer one more world. Instead, they had awakened a power that would reshape the galaxy. One human wasn't just one anymore. Humanity had become Legion, and Earth's fury had truly gone interstellar. The end